The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello everyone, welcome to Chungu Jamii. My name is Betty. I am your host today, and I am so happy to be joined by a gentleman who is so passionate about matters marriage. He's going to be joining us to introduce himself, and after that, we are going to take up our discussion for today. Welcome.
Thank you, Betty. It's good to be here again. We are not in studio, but such is life. But I'm still honored to be here. My name is Emmanuel Gashanja, and I am the CEO and founder of iVow, an organization that seeks to equip couples with the necessary tools to have strong, healthy, thriving marriages. And I'm excited to be here with you today.
Wow. Welcome, Emmanuel. I like to hear that always you're so passionate about marriage, and I always like to check on what's going on with iVow. It's good to have you here to talk to us today. We are going to be discussing preparation for marriage. Emmanuel, a lot of people put all their efforts and energies in preparing for weddings, but hardly are people preparing for marriages. What are you training people at iVow to prepare for marriage or for the wedding?
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate thing. That the wedding itself is glamorized way more than the marriage itself. And we spend so much time and invest so much time in the wedding, and a lot of people don't invest in the marriage itself. So at iVow, we're very, very intentional about raising awareness, about investing in your future together, investing in your marriage. And so we do it in very many ways. We have singles programs. We have premarital counseling, where guys who are dating, guys who are serious, can come into that space and begin to now learn what is marriage, what is relationships, what are the dynamics, what do we need to know to be successful in this. And then we also do it for married couples because let's face it, a lot of us get into this space and we do not know. A lot of us are just groping in the dark, trying to figure it out. So we also raise awareness for those guys. This is what it's about. This is what you need to work towards so that you could have, a better relationship with your partner.
One thing about you is that you are not just working for that organization, but you are actually the founder. And that keeps me thinking, what drove Emmanuel into such an idea? Did you have preparation enough for your marriage? Did you fight with a lot of things on the way before you just decided, you know what? I'm not going to let anybody suffer after me in this journey. What happened to you that you made up this decision to find out iVow?
First of all, just for the viewers who have never met me before, I'm married for 18 and a half years. And I think over 18 and a half years, you get to experience a wide range of things in this journey that, when you can say I've been married 18 and a half years, it's one of those things. I have something to tell you.
True that.
But I think for me, one of the things I realized is in the beginning of our marriage, my wife and I constantly used to ask, each other, why didn't our parents tell us? Why didn't our parents tell us? And that's because we entered into this and we realized it was not automatic, that love, those feelings that you have inside was not enough. There was actually actions, there was responsibility. I mean, yes, we knew, but you do not know to what extent, So when rubber meets the road and things become difficult, then you realize, whoa, this is not for the faint of heart. So yeah, through the difficulty and the challenges, I remember earlier on saying that, one day if I make it past a certain stage, I will make sure that I will be there for people so that they do not have to reinvent the wheel, so that at least they're better off than, where I was. I got to do premarital counseling with a pastor, and we only had one session. And in that session, all we did was talk about sex. In fact, this is exactly how it went. It went, now, young man, so once you say I do, it's the honeymoon. You need to be gentle with the woman. You need to know that she's like an oven. You slowly work her up, okay? Don't just jump in there. And that was it. And that was marriage, premarital counseling for me. So at least I was focused more on that in the beginning, but marriage is way more than that. As I've come to learn.
Way more than that. Indeed, it's true. 18 and a half years later, you have lots of things to share. If you God blessed you with children, you probably have teenagers now. And so it has been such a journey, I guess. But like I said in the beginning, a lot of people are focused on preparing for the wedding, and a lot of them forget about the marriage, which is very, very important. Listening to you saying that you only had one session for premarital counseling brings me to the question: how long should one prepare for their marriage?
Okay. I'm going to be a little bit radical about this, but I'll explain why I'm a little bit radical about this.
Okay.
I think preparation for marriage begins the day you are born.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it begins the day you are born. Now, when you think of our grandparents, let's just do that because that's a little bit of a safe bet. I think our parents is the age that actually started going to school. But our grandparents, how they were raised in community, they were raised in clans, and in them being raised at each and every stage of life, there was life lessons that they were taught that they needed to serve within the community or within the family. So therein they got the lessons that they needed for being a husband. Now think about the woman. My grandmother told me so many stories of how she went to the river, got water, fetched water, brought it home. She went and cut firewood. She would go and, farm on the farm. From when they were kids, they were constantly sweeping, and cooking, and they were doing things that the traditional role of a woman required within the home. Now, for us, we have been raised in a very capitalistic society that we focus more on career. So on our careers, we are very well trained. Communication, doctors, engineers, lawyers, the different things. And we are taken to school for that, 8 years, 4 years, and another 4 years or depending on what you're taking, it could be 4, 5, even 6 years. If you're a doctor, architects nowadays last long, like 7 years. So you perfect that. Who raises you? A lot of us are growing up in broken homes, so we have not seen both parties together to understand what are the dynamics of marriage. A lot of us have not been raised in community. So our uncles and aunties are up country, or they live on the other side of town. We don't interact with them that much. So we are not taught or put around those dynamics for marriage for us to begin to learn and to emulate what we see. For those of us who the parents are at home, most of us are raised by the nanny or the house help. That's who raises us. That's who we spend more time with as opposed to our parents. Our parents come home, they're tired. I want to listen to the news. By the time they listen to the news, it's time for you to go to bed. And the rest of the time you're in school. So there's not that intentional passing on of the values that we need in order to prosper within this institution. So you find a lot of us go into it, and it is only what that we have seen or what we have been exposed to that we begin to try to emulate within the marriage. And unfortunately, for those who are good readers, that they get it from books. For those of us who, binge on social media, that's where we learn what relationships are.
Yeah.
For those of us who, are series and TV, buffs, we learn about marriage from there. And unfortunately, again, that is fictional. It's very fictional. So we get into this place with expectations, and these expectations are not met, and then we feel like we have made a mistake. And because today's world teaches us very individualistic approach,
Yeah.
then we are taught, like, if it's not working here, yeah, it's never that serious. Let me go and find someone else.
True,
So yeah,
true.
so I
That's
think it's quite deep.
unfortunately what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately what happens. And so we may never like have enough time or even the right way to prepare for marriage,
Yeah.
But talking about preparation, serious preparation, not for the wedding, but for the marriage. What are some of those things that we need to take seriously into consideration, knowing precisely what kind of an institution we are going into?
Mm. I think first of all, it begins with me, with the self. I think it's very important to understand yourself, understand who you are, to be very self aware, to know what it is that you want, to understand what your values and what you stand for are. And what this does is when somebody comes, along, and you know who you are, what you want, and what the values that you stand for, you don't get swept off by anybody. You will attract a certain kind of person. So when this person comes in, this is now part two. It will be important to know who they are, what they like, what are their values, what ticks them off, what lights them up. It will be important to know all these things. It will be important to know the family that they come from, what kind of family, it is, and what are the dynamics there, because that actually begins to teach you about somebody's values and who they really are. Because let's face it, in the marketing phase, we are very good at marketing ourselves so that we can so that we can win or woo somebody into our box.
Yes.
So self. Then it's important to learn about your partner. But greater above that, it's important to understand what marriage or the institution is about. What does it entail? It has very many facets, starting from the religion. What constitution are we going to follow? Is it going to be Islam? Is it going to be Christian? Is it going to be Hindu? What are we going to follow, and what does it say? When it comes to money, what's money about? How do you use money? What's your plan? What's your vision for money? These are conversations we don't have. It's important to understand what are people's expectations, even regarding things like physical intimacy, sex. It's important to have that conversation, because you get people, getting into this place, and then you hear, Pasi, Aki, they have changed. They are not, what I thought they were. But the truth is, we never asked the right questions, and we didn't take time to observe and listen to what was actually being said. So it's important, one, to know yourself, but two, to know your partner.
Your partner.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then three, learn about the institution itself, so that you both understand that, okay, me, first of all, do I get along with this person? And am I willing to last with them in this institution? Because this institution is forever, or at least it's assumed is forever.
Yes. It's assumed it's forever, and actually it should be forever. But Emmanuel, you have gotten to know yourself and what you want. Having known that, you definitely are going to attract somebody that you want, or somebody that is attracted to the values that you possess. So you are now together and you are preparing to enter into the institution, the love marriage institution. But then during this time, there's a lot of pretense, there's a lot of plastic wearing, there is a lot of things that are not exposed. People want to keep everything inside lest they hurt the other and even lose them. So in this event, not everything is exposed. So you prepare everything, you are focusing on the wedding, and finally you end up in the marriage without learning. So people make a lot of mistakes. They skip a lot of things that they shouldn't skip. Now, please tell us, what are these important lessons that people or young people ought to learn as they prepare even to enter marriage?
Yeah. So one of the things I try to really encourage people to do is to, whenever you get into the space of doing premarital with somebody, is to really listen, listen, listen. For example, at iVow, we have a program called 2 to 1. 2 to 1 is our premarital counseling. Now, the primary thing about 2 to 1 is not even about being taught in class. It's more about you as a couple engaging with material that will give you, and then having a conversation. In that conversation, here are the 4 things that we want you to learn or to take out, and we're going to speak about whenever we meet with the facilitator. Number 1 is, what have you learned about marriage? Now, we use biblical, values of marriage that we teach for whatever topic that we are talking about within marriage. So, number 1, what did you learn from the material, or what is God saying through that material? Then number 2, where are you at in regards to this material? Then number 3, what did you learn about your partner and where they're at in regards to this material? And then the 4th thing is, what is the way forward, or what do you guys plan will be the constitution or the way that you run your marriage as a result of what you have learned? Now, anytime you are listening for a good 10 weeks, there are very many things that you will pick out. And I always emphasize on the listening, because the one speaking, again, could be like what you were saying, trying to market themselves, so they could be, not sincere. But the more you listen, there are things that you hear and you pick out inconsistencies. And when you ask questions, then now the truth begins to come out. So it's important for you to listen when you're in this space.
So while preparing, you have mentioned that they need to learn about themselves and they need to learn about their partner. And they also are they the ones who should make up the constitution that they want for their marriage, or is there a particular one that is common to all?
Well, what we do at iVow is we believe that God is the one who instituted marriage. And we believe that because he's the one who created human beings, he's the one who created a man, and he is the one who created a woman. The man was named Adam, the woman was named Eve. When he put them together, he had a purpose for them and a desire for them on how they will live here on earth. Now, it is, I think, with that in mind, it's important for us to say, okay, then what does God say about this? So I believe the Bible should have the right constitution that we should follow. But again, God, in his in his sovereignty, has given us free will to choose. To choose, do you want to follow this? And what he says is that if you do this, then you will be successful. I feel like a lot of times because of the corruption of what God intended for marriage, this is why marriage and the family is breaking down quite a bit, in this day and age.
Okay, so would you say that one of the steps they need to take is to visit their parents first and get their consent, or they could just go ahead once they have decided? Because there's a lot of confusion on the do's and don'ts before getting into marriage. Some people say once you get into marriage without the consent and the permission of your parents, then you could actually get some curse because they did not give you their blessing. So who should you listen to before you make great proceeds?
Well, here's what I say. I think culture is a very powerful thing, and this is something that culture has instituted on us. However, if you were to think about it, technically, the moment you turn 18 years old, you are an adult. And as an adult, even according to the nation of Kenya or most nations, you are free to make whatever choice that you want to make. I mean, any choice. Hopefully you'll make good ones. If you make bad ones, then they'll land you in the wrong places. But as an adult, all it takes is for you to consent and your partner to consent. And I think that's all that matters. However, culture does come into play. And with culture coming into play, there's a place that we have put our parents or the elders within our society. So we submit to them in that, okay, we honor them to say that I have found this woman. Let us go to their home and declare our intent. Then there's always an exchange of dowry and things like that. But I always feel it's always very good, important to involve parents too.
Involve them.
Yeah, because there's a lot that they know, there's a lot that they've been through, and it is my hope that they can advise us right, even as we make this step.
Okay, let's look at the preparations again. When you are preparing to live with this man or this woman for the rest of your life, a lot of things that people avoid talking about is finances and probably past life. What is your take on openness? Sometimes there is a fear of if I say too much, they may just discover this is where I never wanted to end. But then if you also hide it and it's discovered later, it's another problem. How much or how far should somebody go? How much should they say in terms of, making my partner know me?
I really feel, and I think it's unfortunate, first of all, that that a lot of us want to keep a lot of secrets. Unfortunately, those secrets come to hurt us in the future. You just create mistrust, and you do not want to create mistrust when you're already in the finality of the commitment. What you want and what I hope people would desire is to be with somebody who would choose you in spite of the mistakes that you've made in the past.
Right.
Someone who would choose me in spite of the many sexual orgies that I've been to, the drug addictions that I had. That's somebody that I want to be with, and not somebody who I have to cover up just because, maybe I feel like, oh, they're perfect and they would be perfect for me. So I really want the person who knows me for me and accepts me for me.
Yeah. Okay, I get you. Who is supposed to be involved in our preparations for marriage? Who should be involved?
Well, In this day and age, there are very many options. One, there's a lot of counselors who do marriage and family therapy, and they do take people through premarital, sessions. And there's also the church and pastors who actually have very good, solid programs that teach people on marriage. But there are also quite a number of programs out there you can find online. I've learned this, recently as I was taking some couples in Europe, and they were in Germany, and they told me that. Yeah, we just finished this. It was 6 weeks. We learned a lot, and I told me, oh, so tell me about the program. And it was very deep and it was very intense. And you could tell that, the things that they learned even through that program really helped the couples. I think there were about 3 couples that I've had that conversation with. So yes, so there's a lot of material out there that, and I think the thing with the material is that it helps you intentionally begin to learn about marriage together and get you aligned, get you on the same page. Because let's face it, we come from different backgrounds.
Yeah.
Where you come from, the culture, the value system that you have is totally different from your husband's. And now you both come, and Betty has her expectation, and your husband has his expectation, and they're clashing. So what these conversations do is they begin to help you now understand. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Right. Thinking about the financial bits of preparations, sometimes people get into a lot of debts in the name of preparing for marriage, which essentially is just for the wedding, not necessarily the marriage. So when it comes to finances, how far should people go into spending and even into borrowing if they have to, if this is advised, and who should prepare this money? Is it both the couples? Is this preparation for the man when it comes to financial?
Wow. I think allow me to share some lessons I learned from a program I did done by Muridi and Carol Wanjao. It's called Couples and Money. Couples and Money taught me one that it's not an individualistic thing. Money and finances is not an individualistic thing. The day you choose to say I do, or if you're both going towards I do, it's important that my finances become our finances and her finances become our finances. And so to answer that question, yes, we are supposed to be one. It's not just about the man. We are getting into this family unit, together. So it's important for us to align and have our vision and how we are going to spend. Now, with regards to the spending, with regards to getting into debt, one, I do not encourage anyone to get into debt. But two, the biggest lesson that I learned from Couples and Money, my wife and I, is living within our means. Work with what we have got. But I believe God has given each one of us creativity to make the most of whatever, whatever situation that we have. My wife and I, we had, including us, we were 7 people at our wedding. Our wedding has lasted 18 years. A lot of my friends went into debt, and majority of them, a lot of them, are divorced. The thing with debt, the thing with overspending, is you'll have fun for that one day. Actually, I don't even know if you have fun for that one day because you don't even get to really enjoy it. Most
too
of the
much
time you're so
pressure.
stressed. Yeah, there's so much stress. So, you're trying to figure out, you don't even know who came, you don't know what happened. You're trying to mess with your whatever, you're trying to think, am I smiling right? You're being pushed here, you're being told here, face this. You don't even get to enjoy the day that you spend so much money. Then
True.
you begin the rest of your lives paying off a debt, and that is just adding stress to an already difficult institution. So a lot of people start off wrong, and yeah, we see a lot of quarrels and conflict, and which
So
leads
you're
to divorce.
basically, your advice basically is that you had better have fewer people in your wedding, you know, in preparation for your marriage than having to borrow or use more than you can afford to entertain people on this one day in the name of having a future marriage with your wife.
Yeah,
I understand what you mean, Emmanuel. I
yeah.
have seen also a lot of people who got in there and they had to enter into marriage with too much garbage. But Emmanuel, there's also another conversation that people hardly have. And I don't know if this is also part of the preparations that you give to couples who are getting ready for marriage. And this is the issue of children, the people who are getting into marriage and the only expectation they have is that they will definitely have children. They will have both sons and daughters. What kind of counseling do you give to such kind of people as they prepare?
Mm. Well, in our sessions, we have constant conversations about this thing called when life happens.
Okay.
And in when life happens, we now begin to have those discussions. And the discussions range from different things, about when life happens. But now, because you've asked about children, let's talk about children.
Okay.
Now, I'll give you a good example. We tried for a daughter. 3 sons later, we were like, our 3 sons will bring us daughters. We were like, we gave up, trying for the daughters. But I also know quite a number of people who have tried and have not gotten children. And this has brought a huge, huge strain on their relationships. I found people who entered into marriage did not agree about how many children they will have. 7 children later, the wife is tired and just feeling frustrated, feeling like, she has lost so much life, just having and popping babies. And it has brought so much strain. So I think it's a very, very important conversation. And I think it's important to respect each other and to honor each other in that conversation. And it's important to come to a compromise, before getting into marriage. But at the same time, it's very important for you to say that the way life is set up, it could happen or it could not happen. And if it happens, we thank God. If it does not happen, we still thank God. At least we have each other, and there are many options. You can actually even adopt children. And I've known a few couples who have adopted children, and the way they love those children, it's sometimes it feels like it's deeper. It's deeper than the ones who actually carried a child for 9 months. So yeah, I think there's many options.
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. There are many options that people could try. But how many
Yeah.
sessions would it take to convince a couple that this may not happen? Because nobody wants to, everybody in their mind is so fixed. It's very few that say, let's just let's just get married and have fun. Without children, it's okay. Everyone is expecting to have children. So when children don't come,
Yeah.
and also when this expectation is not met, people get so much stressed, I don't know how comfortably you talk about that and what is usually their response when you begin to mention that, by the way, you may not have children. Would you push them to the extent of having to check themselves biologically if they are able to sire or not?
You know what? I think one of the things that I've learned over the years, and it's wisdom that has quite helped me a lot and reduced stress in my own life, is that with the knowledge that I have, I am presenting to you what you need to know about life. It is now on you to make the right choices that you need to make in order to, in order for you to get through this life. So I can raise as much awareness as possible, but I cannot make you do something. So my job is to tell you, Betty, your husband really likes it when you cook for him ugali, and he wants a whole fish, not just the pieces that you normally do. He wants a whole fish, and he doesn't want any mboga with it. He just wants kachumbari. That's all he wants every evening. I can tell you that. Now it's on you to actually do it for your husband. But there are days you'll be tired. You'll just want to make something easier because ugali, by the time you do this, it's a lot of work. You just want to put some rice there and we move on. So I think at the end of the day, it's important that we raise the awareness. And as long as the couple knows, as long as the couple understands, then they can't say, we did not know later. They can say, we heard about this. So let's go back to the drawing board. Then what does this mean for us?
True.
Yeah.
How about handling and dealing with our in-laws? These are things that we just assume because when we're preparing for marriage, everyone is friends to us. And we don't see any hard feelings in their faces. Everyone is seemingly happy. They could be checking, can she even cook? And does he work? Can he make money? These are things that people are just looking at. And no one is looking into the depths of how you are going to be living together. No one is concerned about your happiness. They are simply checking the outward things that they can see. Where does he work? How much money does he earn? And can she cook? She doesn't know how to dress. There's so many things that people are checking. So when you're taking your wife to the village, you're taking her for that outward physical assessment. What can you plan and prepare when it comes to living with your in-laws? Because now they're your husband's sisters and brothers, they are your wife's sisters and brothers, and you cannot change this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. In-laws is always a huge, huge thing in relationships, and especially in marriage. The dynamics there are very, very crazy. But here's the one thing that we teach now when we get into the space of premarital. What we teach is that, again, our values come from the Bible. And in the Bible, it talks about living and cleaving. So what that means is that when you leave, you cut off the family. And when you cleave, you're cleaving to this other human being. This now becomes your primary family. So whatever you agree, it is between the two of you, and it's not about the family. It's not about the outside, what do you call it, world. Everyone, friends, family, cousins, relatives. It's not about them. It's about you, what you believe, and what you want to see within your marriage. I think it's important for you as a couple to cover each other. It's important for you to protect each other. It's important for you to fight for each other against all these other people who would try to come within your marriage. But at the same time, it's also very important for both of you to recognize that you come from somewhere. I did have parents. My wife has parents. My wife has siblings. I have siblings. At the point when we are meeting, they have known those people and they've been in a relationship with those people for much longer than they have with me. So I think it's also important to understand the dynamics that in their social circle, family circle, that they will relate. But as you relate with them, relate with this in mind, that your primary responsibility is to your partner whom you left at home or at work or wherever, and that you protect each other and not allow anyone to bring a wedge in between the two of you.
How practical is the bit of living and cleaving? Because when you say you both need to understand that they come from somewhere, it's true, and I agree. But living and cleaving is something we have all had for many years, and it's always there in part of our vows. So how practical is this? Because there are people who still consult their moms and dads on matters and issues concerning their own primary family decisions. There are men who still ask their mothers, where do we take our children to school? You know? And so even as they are preparing for the marriage, there are those who are even going to ask their moms, like, which colors should we have on our wedding? You know, where should we go and live after this? Where should we, so many small things that they can actually do by themselves. How practical is that living and cleaving?
Yeah. Well, I think it's very practical, but it takes a lot of intentionality and it takes you making a decision. I think at some point for my wife and I, we realized the impact of family on our lives, and we made a decision that our families will not, influence our lives. We are the ones to influence our lives. So I went and had a very hard conversation with my parents, and I just told them, guys, at the end of the day, God is going to hold me accountable for this woman, not for you guys. You guys have your relationship, but this is what my primary is, and this is where I need to be. We need to figure it out. And if it does not align with my wife and I, I'm sorry. We appreciate the thoughts, but we will not, take the wisdom or whatever it is that you're sharing. However, there are many things that they say that are wise that we could apply. And one of the things, we are always honest with each other, and we tell each other, hey, you know what? Today I was with mom. Mom said this. What do you think? Then I'll say, I think that's brilliant. See, we do it. And that's the conversation. But it's not me coming to enforce and tell her, or her coming to enforce and tell me, this is the way you should do it. Even mom said, no, you see, that's where we make the mistake. I think it's important to involve our partner so that, if it's something worth doing, if it's something that they're okay with, then you have a blessing to go forth and do it.
Cool. That's really, really brilliant. There are people who are preparing, Emmanuel, for marriage, but previously they have made, I don't know whether to call it life mistakes, but they probably have children out of wedlock already. And the people they are planning to get married to are not the parents to these children. Moving forward, are they supposed to plan leaving these children behind or move with them to the marriage?
Well, in the beginning, earlier on, I said, I want to be with somebody who, or rather, we should want to be with somebody who will accept us for who we are. Who I am is me and these children that I've had with somebody else. So if you want forever with me, then these children become very important. If these children, you're not willing to be a mother to these children, then I really appreciate you, but no thanks.
So if you are receiving me, you receive me with my package.
Well,
You
I'll
receive me
receive
as
you
a
with your
package.
package, Kabisa. And I think that's the way it should be, because children are very innocent. I know you like the person, but the person comes with all this. You know, it's the same thing. If the person came with other what we would deem defects, you know, like you know, alcohol, drug addiction, all those things that you know we would not fancy, then do we ditch them? You know, we can't. I mean, it's important for us to just say, okay, this is who you are. I know who you are, and I accept you. And I will not only love you, but I love everything about you, which includes the children. Yeah.
So sometimes it's true, Emmanuel, when people present themselves to you, there's a lot of things that underline. And so you never get to reveal everything. You know, when the discovery of this has been found, and now I know that, oh, there was also this pimple on your back, and there was this, you know, under here, and I didn't know it. But here we are now, we are here in the marriage, you know, so in preparing, a lot of times I've had people say that this person is never going to change. What you see is what you get, and you get a magnified, you know, version of it. Isn't there really a way that somebody could change and become better than what you're just having today? Because many people walk into marriage with hope that, it's okay, we will live together, we will talk, and they will change. Does that ever happen?
Well, I'll tell you this. I am a living example that you can change.
Okay.
I am a living example that you can change. So I will tell people, I believe that you can change, but it takes you making the choice and wanting to change for you to change. I'll tell you this. I strongly believe, if you asked me with all my male ego, my male pride, everything, I believe I was the perfect boyfriend, and I believe I was the perfect husband that any woman could get. And I met my wife, and I lived with her in perfection until cracks started popping up, and I realized, there's many things that I need to work on. So I looked for different pieces of material that you know, would help me, you know, work on it, and I started on a journey. So there's this thing called the Love Dare. It was formed with this movie Fireproof. I encourage people to watch that, you know, that movie if they can. But the Love Dare is this person actually taking, you know, taking the attributes of love, and for 40 days, trying to you know, act out, or you know, do those acts, and you know, adopt them into his life, just so that he can be a better person for his partner. I took it a little bit further. I did it in 40 weeks, not 40 days. So each week I'll take an attribute. Love is patient. So I ask myself, first of all, am I patient? I thought I was patient until I met my wife, and I realized I am not patient. And so I was patient for mundane life things, but I was ready for her to change, like ASAP. The day we said, I do, okay, this needs to change, this needs to change. But it says love is patient. So I had to learn that, oh, it's a process. I have to be with this person and allow them to be who they are and help them slowly and encourage them and inspire them to be a better person. And even when they fall, I have to be patient with them. So 1 week I would do that. And then the next week I do love is kind. So on top of patience, I'm adding kindness. So what happens when she doesn't cook for you food the right way? What happens when she doesn't iron your clothes the right way? What happens when she gets late from work? Can you still be kind to this human being? The truth is, we normally struggle and we'll normally show each other attitude. But now I had to be intentional and be kind to this
Wow.
person. So now the more attributes I kept adding, the more difficult and the more complicated this became. But I did it 1 year, I did it the next year, and the more I did it, I realized that as I
Conformed.
changed, yeah, as I changed, my whole perception of what relationships are
Yeah.
actually began to change. Even the way I saw my wife began to change. I stopped seeing the mistakes, and I started beginning to see who she can really be, and who she really is. And I started enjoying that relationship. So,
Wow.
can you change? Yes, you can, but it takes a
Wow.
lot of intentionality.
That's very, 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 very important to hear
Yeah,
because a lot
yeah,
of people know it differently. And so,
yeah.
Emmanuel, we are actually out of time. And as
Oh,
you give us your conclusion, you could basically actually tell us like all people who prepare for marriage, do they eventually get into marriage? Or you can start preparing and get to a place where it's not doable, it's not with us, the two of us, it can't work. And so see you another day somewhere else, not in this path.
yeah.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd like to encourage every single one who'll watch this show, this program, that today is a very good day for you to begin to learn about marriage. Do it with intentionality and begin to invest and begin to train yourself and teach yourself to become the one before you meet the one.
Okay.
So I challenge everyone who will be watching this, and I challenge you that find out what are the right values, stand for them, and again, anytime somebody comes to you, you will be able to attract hopefully the right kind of person who shares the same values, and that you can actually live a life together. If somebody doesn't have the right values, please don't be desperate because of loneliness, because of whatever brokenness, or because you're trying to, what do you call it, get financial stability. Those are very wrong reasons. Um, Marry for the right reasons, that you have a huge vision, and the person that you see coming is someone who you can both together achieve that great vision. Because at the end of the day, God created each one of us for a purpose, and we are to achieve that purpose. So it's important to find the life partner who will understand that purpose and help you, or together achieve that purpose that you have in this life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Emmanuel. I am
Yeah.
encouraged that people can actually change. It was
Yes.
good hearing that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today to share with us these kinds of insight that we need as we are
Yeah.
preparing for marriage. Thank you also, viewer. I hope you now got it. You don't just concentrate on preparing for the wedding, but also get advice, get premarital counseling as you enter into marriage. It has been such a lovely time having you on this program, Chungu cha Jamii. My name is Betty Akuku. See you next time.